The Lakers' woes continue. Is LeBron James washed? I'm Sean Davis here for the channel. Make sure you subscribe here, turn on those post notification bells, and follow me on X at Sean_DAVI. Um, I wanted to do a different video here today. I am working on a video kind of breaking down like if the Lakers should trade for Brandon Ingram, who is an expiring contract. His value I think is pretty low right now, especially because the Pelicans are like hopefully going to bottom out. So I will break that down in a video that's going to drop tomorrow. This is dropping Wednesday the 4th. That video will drop Thursday the 5th. But I kind of wanted to touch on the Lakers squad following a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, a pretty frustrating loss to say the least. Apologies about the voice and apologies for my absence the past couple of days and recovering from like sickness, and that's why my voice again, I'm really self-conscious about my voice, but I feel like it's going to come out pretty badly for you guys as well, so I do apologize. We're gonna get through it. But, I wanna start off with the first thing here, and that is, the Lakers and LeBron, in particular, his struggles. To pull up LeBron's stats, I wanna say LeBron has missed, what, his last 17 threes this season. Yeah, his three-point percentage has actually dropped to 35%, from 3, where for a while, like, he was shooting in the upper 40s. LeBron struggled recently. You'd have to go back to the Orlando game, last time he shot, above 30% from 3, and since then, he had 18 points, 16 points, 12 points. He had 27 in the Jazz win, and then 10 tonight, against Minnesota. But LeBron since that Orlando game, 1 for 4 against Denver from 3, 2 for 7 against Phoenix, 0 for 2 against San Antonio, 0 for 4 against OKC, 0 for 9 against Utah, 0 for 4 against Minnesota. Again, Bron is now 0 for his last, like, 19 threes, like 6, 15, yeah, 0 for his last 19 from distance over a 4-game stretch, and that has prompted the question, like it does almost every time Bron has a bad stretch, is this when Father Time has come up? And I answer this question. Nobody literally asked me this question, but I did take the liberty to kind of answer it. And my answer is yes and no. Has Father Time called up to Brian? Yes and no. That's my answer. It's yes because LeBron James, I had him as a top 10 player coming into the year, right? I had him right around the 8 to 10 range. As a matter of fact, my exact top 10 heading into the year was Jokic, Giannis, Luca, would have been Shea 4, Embiid 5, AD 6. And then I think I had Braun maybe 7, because then 7, 8, 9 was in any order, like Braun, KD, Tatum, and then maybe you get to Steph, or something along those lines, right? Um, and so far this season, Braun hasn't been a top 10 player, and that's kind of where Father Time has come up, because it's at this point, I think, pretty clear that asking LeBron James at damn near 40 to be a night in and night out top 10 player and play 82 games, I think is kind of, I don't even think unfair is the right word. I think unrealistic is the right word. To expect that from him. Now, for 10 games or so during a season, it's gonna be more than that actually. But over the course of a season, and we've seen those games already this season. You have the Memphis game where he drops 35, an efficient 35-point triple double. You have you have basically the start of November, 27 and 10, no turnovers against the Raptors, 39, 7 and 6 against the Grizzlies, 21, 12 and 13 on 2 turnovers against Philly, 19, 10 and 16, 3 turnovers against Toronto, 35, 12, 14, right? Uh, I mean, you had the 32-point game where he took over in the fourth quarter against Sacramento to start the season. You still have these games from Braun, right? Where the overall impact is still top 10 in the league. But asking him of that on a night in and night out basis is unrealistic. And that's where Father Time is caught up with Braun. where even now, if you said, "Hey, Braun, 60 nights a year, can you be a top 10 player?" I think that might even be unrealistic at this current point. Now, come playoff time, and add on one more quick point to that. And LeBron is even talking about this a little bit too. This is his lowest usage rate of his entire career, too, right? That's another thing I do want to mention. He isn't getting the same volume of shots up. He isn't getting as much on-ball opportunities as he has in the past. Right. That's another thing. I do think to a certain extent Bron's adapting to that. And I think it's on one hand in an effort to conserve him throughout the regular season, but I do think Father Time is just caught up in general. Like I said, from the sense of Bron's not a top 10 player for 60 plus games in a regular season anymore. Is he a top 10 player for like 45? Yes. And that's why the expectation of him playing 82 games is not realistic either. Because you actually play 82 games and be this what the Lakers need him to be, I think it's just flat out unrealistic, right? Um, you're seeing graphics and stuff posted out about how the Lakers net rating with LeBron on and off the floor. It's getting nipped out of bud right now. LeBron, the narrative that this team is better without Bron, still somewhat small sample size. Again, it's 20 games in or whatever. Okay. But, and this is actually going to tie to one of the questions I got because I open up the mailbag on Twitter. Somebody asks, "Hey, what's up? What's up with the offense the past few games?" And really, it also comes down to the fact that this team must have had Austin in a couple of games. I know Austin did not play against Minnesota. I want to say Austin missed against Utah too. Yeah, the Utah game, they were just nobody played against Utah. Austin was pretty limited against OKC, if I recall correctly. And then Austin struggled in that game, 3 for 11. But even then, like that, you're a bad shooting night away from winning that game, and that game was kind of like real scrappy anyway. D'Lo played well. Shout out to D'Lo, 17 points. He had 9 boards. AD couldn't really get much off either in that game. But I say all that to say, like with this Lakers team, one, and this is all tying into my point about why the Lakers offense has been bad recently. To answer that question from Mailbag, I think specifically these past 2 games, we've kind of, I think, as much crap as we give Austin. Austin is so vital to this team's offensive success because of how much is built around him in the offense, to where you take arguably your second option, definitely your second on ball option, if not at times your number one on ball option, away from you, then yeah, you're going to see some fallback. Second option is probably more realistic, especially in terms of on ball. But you take that away, and also say what you want to say about Austin as well. He's probably the second guy on the team that can create any semblance of pressure on a defense, whether it's like drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line, etc. He's one of the few guys on the team that could do that, right? With the ball in their hands. And then, score from the mid range, can score from all 3 levels of the floor. So that's, my theory why in general. They've also had some coverage stuff offensively in terms of dialing up the right stuff that can be touched on a different time. But finally going back to the Bron thing, that's kind of also my point. Like, and this is why I'm also not overly concerned. LeBron in the regular season, especially, right? We're talking 60 plus game sample size. LeBron James is heavily jump shot reliant now. And on one hand, it's not even necessarily I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing actually, because I think it's normal. He's 40. He's going to be 40 in 27 days. Like, that is completely normal for a 40-year-old to become jump shot reliant and not be the insane paint touch magnet that he once was. And even then, if you look at Braun this season, he's still shooting 65% at the rim per dunks and threes. Now, in terms of attempts per 75 possessions, he is taking his lowest shot attempts at the rim, might be of his entire career. Lowest volume at the rim in terms of attempts per 75 possessions. That's his second year in his entire career, right? He's shooting more the threes in the mid range are actually about the same. But like I said, it's literally the volume at the rim that's kind of gone down. His mid range is kind of on track, especially to the 2023 season where he shot a lot of threes. But even going back to the 2023 season, this is the Western Conference Final season. LeBron took 9.3 shot attempts at the rim. He took 6 mid range attempts per 75 possessions and almost 7 threes per 75 possessions, right? The big difference that season was LeBron James' usage rate was 32 and a half. It's 28 this season, right? And that season he was obviously at more burst because of the fact that Braun that season pre-injury, he was still in the top 10% athlete in the league. So LeBron's more jump shot reliant now, and you're asking him that carries such this heavy load on offense night in, night out, and he is already jump shot reliant, then you're gonna have these high variance moments where you're gonna have a really, really bad stretch like we're in right now, where he can't hit anything, and the shots are bad misses and everything. I'm not overly concerned, man. LeBron for I think 2 seasons now, you take out this stretch, has kind of earned the benefit of the doubt in terms of as regards to his 3-point shooting. Um, like last season, he was lights out from 3. This season, he had been lights out up until these last 4 or 5 games or so. He's just been so historically bad from 3 that just dragged his percentage all the way down. But overall, he's been a really, really good shooter again. And even then, he's right around where he's been at for his entire career from 3 still, but like despite this stretch. So, long story short, man, is LeBron washed? My answer is again, yes and no. Yes, if you expect LeBron to be a top 10 player for an 82 game season, the answer is no. That's not the case anymore. Now, if if God willing, this team's able to get to the playoffs again, am I taking 10 players over LeBron in a 16 game micromanaged sample size? My answer is still no. Because then you're going to get the uptick in expected uptick in volume, uptick in drives and putting pressure on the rim, uptick hopefully in defensive impact where he's been noticeably awful this season. Um, yeah, I just want to get that out there, man. A lot of the fan base is panicking about Braun. If you're a fan of the 3rd star method, this is the perfect effing time to do it. I felt like that was warranted for me to say that right there. But yeah, so answer some of you guys' questions on Twitter at Brune Carrick. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Is LeBron just a once a week good player now? You're definitely gonna get a lot more of these highs and lows. Like I said, he had a 6-game stretch or whatever it was to start off the month of November where he was light out balling from really a 2-week stretch, honestly, from Toronto to Memphis on the 13th, November 1st and November 13th, lights out. Then he kind of, the turnovers really ticked up. It started in that Memphis game, honestly, but he had 14 assists in that game. So, I mean, don't pay too much mind to it. Then the shot started to fall off ever so slightly, and the impact dropped, pretty much after that. Again, like I said, 82-game sample, just not expect that from Braun anymore. Already answered that one. Let's see. What gold standard hoops are B-ball NKY asks, why do I think that the Lakers offense would have went from using AD as the offensive hub when he was dominating and they were winning, since giving the ball to LeBron and AR, the offense is stagnating and the team's been very inconsistent. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Lakers offense made the switch to being more Bron centric as the hub when they were winning. Like, again, going back to that early November stretch where they kind of put that run together. I mean, you have the really bad road trip, but like around that time, man, like they were winning games, like that 5-6 game win streak or whatever. It's not like they made the shift just now, like when they lost to Denver or something. They've kind of made the shift a little while ago. And at the time, I kind of understood it because the logic is here, instead of like overexerting LeBron from an athleticism standpoint. We're gonna like use his brain and put him in spots where he just has to make reads. Now, has Braun been perfect? No. He's had games again, like Toronto, 27-10, no assist. I mean, 27-10, no turnovers. 20-11 against Detroit, one turnover. Um, there's games, and I think that I honestly don't even know what it is really. I need to like watch Braun's turnovers. Some of them are just quite frankly not his fault either. I'm not providing bail for Braun, I don't think, by saying that. Some of those turnovers are just not his fault, quite frankly. Um, but it's tough because LeBron's the best playmaker on this team. I don't think that's a hot take. I know the turnovers are kind of concerning, but okay, the turnovers are bad. Some of them are bad still, regardless of some of them not being his fault. There are still some really bad ones in there. He's still far and away this team's best, and only like, I mean, D'Lo's a good playmaker, but D'Lo doesn't have the rim gravity. Even if Braun's kind of having a down year in terms of drives and putting pressure on the defense, so I get the thought process. You hope that you get some luck, some luck with some of the turnovers. I think they've had some pretty rough luck with some of LeBron's turnovers too, quite frankly. Um, and I don't think they've necessarily went away from AD either. I think they do sometimes ice him out in the fourth quarter more than you would like to. I think it was the Thunder game where they kind of went away from him down the stretch. I saw a tweet. It's kind of funny. This Lakers team is 12-9 through 21 games. They were 12-9 last year through 21 games. I do think that's funny. Um, do you think this is from at Dav Munt? Do you think your two future firsts into this team are safe for the future and consider rebuilding next season? Okay, so I'm gonna answer this in two different ways. What do I do and what do the Lakers do? What the Lakers do, I'm willing to bet this Lakers team they make a move, but it's a pretty conservative one where they don't really sink their two first into a deal. Like I'm not saying you absolutely have to necessarily, but like they make a really marginal move. They trade a couple seconds, right? They shed some salary or something like that. I'm of a firm belief, bro. If you are really a champion, if you view yourself as a championship contender, like the Lakers have been oh so freaking adamant that they are for the entire LeBron run, for sure the entire LeBron AD run. Um, you do everything you can to like win a title. And I really do think, man, the front office, specifically Rob, has done a poor job at managing this window where you go. Let's break down this era right quick. 2018, 2019. I think they did the wrong thing by kind of because this is still we're talking about prime Braun still. This is the year after arguably the best version of Braun we've ever seen. Arguably 2018 run, 2017. Like I think when you talk about Braun, 2016 playoffs, 2017 season, 2018 playoffs, and then you got 2013, 2009, 2014 even scoring Braun, right? A lot of years I stood with you guys, but you're still very much in prime Braun mode. The problem with the 2018 team, the first year Braun got here, in my opinion, is they overloaded that team with ball handlers and they didn't need to. Like we just saw the blueprints of building a team around prime Braun, where he took a team of scraps to the NBA finals with him as the operator. Like, if we're being honest, we should have gotten 2 years of point Braun. It should have been the first year and then the year they got AD. Instead of just being the year they got AD, we saw what you were able to get. When it's Braun, that year, I mean, this championship year, it's other dominant player that can play off of him too, but shooters. And yeah, they corrected the mistake, but that should have been the go-to from the jump. They kind of overthought that. I mean, they already had Lonzo, not much you could do about that, but getting Rondo, some of the other stuff they had around that team, just in terms of the roster construction, I was really a fan of that. Just limited shooting on that team. But like I said, you just saw the blueprints of building around Braun. Bro, just give him shooters and guys that can semi-play defense. And even then, Braun, they had that team as the 4th seed before Braun's groin went out on him on Christmas Day. Then you have the championship year. Then you have the year. I'm not even going to fault him for the 2020-21 offseason. Short offseason coming off the title. Um, and the general consensus was, oh my God, the Lakers got better by some of the contributions they made to that team. I will say that they, they got Dennis, they got Marcus Gasol, Trez. First problem I think they made, I think they overreacted by getting Drummond just a little bit, which Gasol was never really the same after he got sick, I think it was, or something with Gasol. But the Drummond thing, the way they kind of handled that whole situation was a little bit weird, I think. And in general, not running that team back. The problem wasn't running the 2020 team back. I actually kind of understand not running that team back. Not running back the 2021 team and not looking at it and going, we were the best team in the league until we got hurt. And then we were beating and we were going to beat the team that was 2 games away from an NBA championship. We were going to beat them until AD got hurt and Braun was still like 50% back, right? So overcorrecting that instead of saying, hey, let's go get maybe some more shooting and let's run this team back. Instead of doing that, you let 2 catalysts to a really good defense in terms of containing attacks of KCP and Alex Caruso. You trade / let them walk for. I mean, now you have nothing to look at for it, right? There's nothing to look. There's nothing to show for KCP and Alex Caruso, who are 2 of the 10 best defensive guards in the league. You have nothing to show for letting them leave, essentially. Then you have the Russell Westbrook trade, still no great shooting. And then you have the trade deadline that Rob kind of saved his tenure with, I would say at the time. But since then, they've kind of it's just all like overreacting and panicking based off of past mistakes, in my opinion. That kind of summarizes the Rob Pelinka era. Overreacting and panicking to previous mistakes, because then they recognize after the Rush trade was a massive failure. Oh my God. All right. We got to go all in on continuity. They make the trade deadline moves. Okay, now it's we have to be all in on continuity instead of looking in the mirror and understanding, bro. Okay, what I've been saying, and I got so much flack for being lower in air quotes, even though I said this team was still a title contender because of LeBron AD. I was still lower on this team or higher on this team. Fan base is funny in that way. You I've been saying all summer that continuity is great until it's not. Denver's continuity, awesome. OKC's continuity, awesome. Boston, awesome, right? Cleveland showing that their version of continuity paid off with new coaching. My point all summer has been, look, the Lakers, yay, hurrah. They have, 7 players on the team from that conference finals team 2 years ago? Braun, AD, D'Lo, Austin, Max, Vando, Rui. They have 7 players on that team. Then you add on players that were here last year too: JHS, Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood, Gabe Vincent. So 11 of these players have been on the team for more than a year, and it's probably more than that. Maxwell Lewis has 12. The only new players to this team would be Bronny and Dawn Connect, I think. Yeah. So like everybody else has been here. So cool. Cool beans, bro. We've got the same team. Continuity. Yay. But it's okay, continuity is cool and whatever, but you're just doing it just say you did it. It's not continuity in a good way. We've seen this team. That's why when the team went on that really bad stretch of play, where they had the awful road trip, or they had the 3-game losing streak, or really 4 out of what have they lost now? 5 of the last 7. Yeah, they lost 5 of the last 7. Blowouts to Denver, Phoenix, and Minnesota, and close losses to OKC and Phoenix and Orlando. Excuse me. That's why nothing this team does surprises me, if I'm being completely honest with you, because we've seen this team for 2 years. All their strengths and weaknesses, if you told me them heading into the season, I would have said, "Yep, that's the 2024 Lakers." And there's some coaching gripes I have, but it's not a coaching thing. It's a Braun and AD have to play better. I think their effort in getting back on defense is pathetic from both of them. From both of them, to be clear. Um, but even when you get even on the 3 out of 10 occasions they do get back on defense, your defense around Anthony Davis is freaking pathetic. It's bad. And then your guys that have any semblance of defense have no offensive game whatsoever. Talking about Cam Reddish, talking about Jared Vanderbilt, who's not even there right now, talking about Gabe Vincent, who had the solid game against what was it, Utah? But the other 20 games of the year, he's been a no-show practically offensively. And then Max, who's been the most up and down player, more downs than ups, I feel, so far this season on the entire roster. So this team, to kind of like go back, I put this in a pretty bold. Do you trade the two future first? The answer should be yes, because otherwise, why bring back LeBron? You could have started the rebuild this summer. New head coach, that his whole thing anyway, in air quotes, or the thing for the front office all summer was development, right? Okay, why bring back Braun? And I don't patronize me with the answer of, oh man, you can't let Braun walk because of money. You know, Braun's a money getter for the franchise, whatever. The answer is yes, yes, yes. But from a okay, you're just wasting everybody's time then by bringing Braun back and not actively trying to compete and push the needle on this just very small at this point championship window. You're wasting everybody's time. Yourself and the LeBrons, ADs, the fan base, everybody included. You're wasting everybody's time if you don't attempt to improve this roster that has had these same flaws for 2.5 seasons. And I would actually add in, and honestly, there's a added flaw or two now because of LeBron's regression, like just flat out due to age. You need another scorer. And like I said, I think Austin cleans up a little bit of this. But the problem with Austin is, and I think the Orlando matchup, I think it was, is a perfect example, or any matchup with any semblance of athleticism in their backcourt is a bad matchup for Austin. Orlando has Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, KCP. Minnesota, if they wanted to, has Jay McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo. OKC, Casey Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Shai Alexander, like the abundance of guards that can defend in OKC. And Lou Dort is more of a wing, but you get my point. So you already have the lack of competent two-way players. You already have the lack of a consistent backup big. You already have you already have the people that want the third star. But now you add on top of that, and I guess one of these categories fall into the third star. You need another scorer, probably. You just to help you on a 9-9 basis to help low manage Braun a little bit more. You need athleticism in the backcourt. So for anybody that is campaigning for Zach LaVine out there, you have a hell of a case after these last few games, right? And it doesn't solve your defense. It doesn't. It doesn't solve the backup big thing. It doesn't. But all you can hope for is, or even if you want Brandon Ingram, I guess you kind of have a case after these past few games. Um, you need to get healthy. Obviously, Braun, take a freaking vacation. Like go to the Bahamas or something for 3 days. Do whatever you need to do. Go to Cancun, rest up for 3 days, bro. Get back going. All right, Braun, we'll see you back in LA for Portland on Sunday at this point. That's gonna be the last one. This kind of went a little bit longer, but I think cover some big topics here. One, is LeBron washed? Two, what's been going on with the Lakers offense? And three, I actually want to touch on one more thing. Three, the direction of this team going forward. The last thing I want to touch on is the defense, which I've kind of talked about in the past. It's funny. Somebody in my mentions, I can't recall who, on X/Twitter, joined the conversation at Sean_DAVI. It's funny. Somebody in my mentions brought up the fact that last season uh, everybody in the fan base was saying, no more drop, no more drop, no more drop. And now this season, it's no more switch, no more switching, too much switching, blah, blah, blah. Right. It's funny. That's what they said on Twitter. And it's not too much drop, too much. It's not like the drop is bad and switching, it's bad. It's unnecessarily switching and unnecessarily playing drop where there are times to do both coverages. Like both of those coverages can be incredibly effective depending on situation, the team you're playing, etc., the matchup, etc., and the personnel. And all I've asked for is for this team to be more scheme versatile. There's a play. Shout out to Buddy Raj, one of the Laker content goats on Twitter. It's a clip. I can't recall what part of the game it was, but actually, I was just looking at it. It's in the second quarter. Timestamp's like 3:50. I want to say. The Timberwolves run some like floppy action, like almost like floppy twirl action, honestly, where you have I want to say that's Ant kind of curls around Dante DiVincenzo. Sean, throw the clip up in post. He curls around Dante DiVincenzo like he's coming off the floppy action, and then he comes to screen Dante's man, um, while also running out on his side as well. So yeah, just some nice floppy action. So they switch the two screens, right? They switch those. That makes sense. It's a guard to guard screen anyway, but then it's an Ant Julius Randle pick and roll on the side. This is partially what I'm talking about, where I'm like, bro, why are we so heavily switching? You have a Max Christie, Anthony Davis guarded pick and roll. Why the hell do you not just play drop right there? You know what I'm saying? Just situations. It's Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle anyway, too. So, I mean, I love Max. I'm a Max fan. I've been a Max fan. I still have some confidence in Max is going to be able to like really figure it out and have a sustained run of good play. But at the same time, man, like, I do not trust Max Christie guarding Julius Randle on an island. That's Julius Randle. Julius Randle, one of the best bully ball players in the league. Anthony Davis is now guarding Anthony Edwards. Your low man is now Gabe Vincent and D'Angelo Russell. For what? I truly, truly think this is my theory. And then, by the way, there's another screen. Dante DiVincenzo sets to create a screen for AD. So that was Rui guarding Ant. So not only do you not have your best defensive player, you don't even have him in a low man spot to help protect the rim. You have him guarding Dante DiVincenzo because we're switching, and you have one of your weaker on-ball defenders and Rui guarding on the perimeter. But this is my theory. I think the Lakers kind of fell in love, like JJ, AD, even to a certain extent, I would imagine. I think they fell in love with how Team USA went, where AD guarded 1 through 5 a ton, and they were fine. But it's because Bam Adebayo was behind you, and vice versa, right? AD was able to hedge more and switch a ton. And it's different if you had ultra high impact Braun on the back end, or you had Jared Vanderbilt even on the back end to give you some semblance of a secondary rim protector or a charge guy, something. Or if it's Christian Wood to give you some size, right? It's D'Lo and Gabe Vincent. Again, going back to the Max and AD screen is really is really where I was like, why are we switching this? This is drop right here, right now. Max is one of his better strengths, I think, screen navigation. AD's an elite drop big. Why the hell did we not drop this here? So I think they fell in love with kind of how Team USA went and wanted to lean into that, where again, roster personnel is just disgusting in terms of trying to operate a switch heavy scheme, especially when you look at the fact that you're not healthy and you don't have a hyperactive version of Braun right now. So defensively, man, and then also like AD and Braun don't get down the floor half the time either. So teams are just able to blitz you in transition. Look, man, I don't think but just need to be taken serious. You can't be the 26th best defense in the league either. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's next for this Lakers team. That's part of the like thing you gotta have to have an eternal conversation with. about when you talk about Brandon Ingram, it's like, okay, cool, BI is nice, but he doesn't solve. I mean, Levine too. Uh, and historically speaking, you can't have a bottom 10 defense and win a title. It's just not happening. So I think there's got to be some scheme stuff changed. Personnel's eventually you hope will get better. But yeah, so we touched on 4 big topics here today. We touched on, is LeBron washed? We touched on is what's going on with the state of the Lakers offense. We touched on the state of the franchise in general, right? We touched on the Lakers defense, man. Kind of the 4 biggest talking points with this Lakers team right now. That you guys have all kind of want to hear about. Like I said, guys, I'll have a Brandon Ingram video out tomorrow. Should they trade for him or should they not? What's kind of thought process there? Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, follow me on X at @shot_DAVI. Hopefully my voice and my face will get back up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe and peace out.